distorts what we actually can perceive, so that everything we do is actually a fallen sin. Everything we do is actually a twisted distortion of God's will. So
Mic's on. Anybody else got their mic on?
Bueller.
Forrest Bueller?
Oh, Ferris.
Oh, Harris Bueller.
Ferris.
We got one new like, and we got 4 people with candidates, 5 buttons. Thank you, Emmy.
Thank you, Emmy.
We may have a new listener tonight down in Oil City.
Queen Mum.
Huh?
Queen Mother.
Yeah, Queen Mom. We used to do reenactments of Civil War and stuff together until we got old. Can't handle that stuff no more. But I want to welcome y'all back. Those of you who are checking in. Hi, you fooled me. We had a problem there, Emmy, and so I had to go back and start it all over again. So, anyhow, we got it straightened out. I tried to get my music to play, and I couldn't get the music to come up for some reason. So, hey, I don't have all the bugs worked out yet, so we're still trying. Hello to all. She says, oh, by the way, Emmy, I did a review of our last show, and the chats did show up on my screen when I did the check. So were they on your last show? I hope. Apparently you must go and check it out. But anyway, I want to start off with, I don't have them organized. Better take a minute and get them organized. Somebody say something when I get these organized.
Well, the other day I was watching TV and there was this guy on there and he was saying stuff and it was so funny. And then he said the other stuff and then it was sad and I cried. That's all. That's all I have to say about that.
All right, now I'm going to go through the gun shows. There was one scheduled at Rocky Grove near the end of September, but they canceled it. I got the phone call today. They've canceled it. So no Rocky Grove show. That's for all those locals that are around here driving around. No Rocky Grove show. They're going to try and reschedule for March of next year. Okay, now, got that one done. The next one that I know is the one that I'm putting on is October the 10th and 11th. It is a go. We are over half sold out. In other words, we've sold over 50% of our tables. Still have about 22 more, 28 more to 30 more tables that we can sell. And we will probably we will most likely get them sold. Okay, that again is Saturday, October the 10th, Sunday, October the 11th, at the Cherry Tree Township Volunteer Fire Department on Cherry Tree Road, Titusville, Pennsylvania, and face masks are optional. One down. October the 24th and 25th at Ashtabula County Fairgrounds. As far as I know, is still on. I haven't had anybody call me and tell me it isn't. And I will be calling them later this week, so maybe I'll have an update by next weekend. But that's October the 24th and 25th at the Ashtabula County Fairgrounds, Jefferson, Ohio. November the 14th and the 15th, Hickory Post, VFW, Route 62 east of PA18.
By 2 miles.
Yeah, west of Mercer on 62.
By 9 miles.
Hermitage, PA. Okay, again, that's November the 14th and the 15th. Oh, by the way, we have a guy coming down to our Cherry Tree show that makes cannons. So we will have some cannons here.
Oh, have mercy.
Yeah, Lord have mercy. Okay.
Oh, I get to see my wife freaking out.
Yeah.
Bringing a cannon back.
They aren't all that expensive. He does a nice job. December the 12th and 13th, the Harbor Creek Fire Department Social Hall, Buffalo Road, US Route 20, Harbor Creek, PI. Again, the 12th and the 13th. Now, going into January, we just have one for now, but there should be more coming. January the 23rd and 24th at the Coney Lake Sportsman's Club on Sportsman Road, which is off of Route 18, Coney Lake, PA. Again, that's 23rd and 24th. I have tables, or supposed to have tables at all those shows. If we get any more, I'll add them to this list so we can keep you updated for those in this area or for those out there in Hitterlawn who want to make a roadie trip.
Speaking of road trip, I was over at, I thought about this because you had mentioned Jefferson, Ohio. I was over a friend of mine's house outside of Andover, and I think the place is in Cortland. His wife ran and got us some pizza, a place called Padrone's, Padrones, Padrone's Pizza in Cortland. Pretty good pizza. I wouldn't say it's, best pizza ever, but if you're in that neck of the woods, I think it's a local. I don't think it's a chain. So give it a shot. Padrone's.
What was I going to say? Food for thought. I want you people to pay attention now. I want you to get your thinking caps on. See how good of a plausible idea this is. We have to start rethinking this bit about the gays and lesbian movement. Now, before you get all hypered up, just listen. What we need to do is we need to let the men marry the men, the women that marry the women, and all those who want to have an abortion. In 20 to 30 years, there will be no Democrats. Just think about that for a while. See if I get any comments from the kids in the chat room there. But anyway, there was something you and I were discussing earlier this week there.
The fireworks?
Yeah, the fireworks.
All right. Well, I have this conspiracy theory thing bouncing around my head. Anybody who knows me knows that that's the way my brain always works. I always try to look for some sort of weird correlation, conspiracy, what have you. And I started thinking, earlier this year, shortly before the 4th of July, maybe towards the end of June, there were some news stories out there that, I forget who wrote them. Please forgive me for being so vague. But it was about how this person believed that the government is inundating the black communities with fireworks so that these people, the people in these neighborhoods, the black people, African Americans, people of color, will be desensitized to the sound of all this violence. And when the government comes to take over, they won't be surprised, yada, yada, yada.
No, they'll be so inundated they won't run because, it's just fireworks.
And that led me to thinking, and like every other rational thinking human being, God, that's dumb. But I started paying attention to all these violent protests against the police. What are they starting to do? They're launching all these fireworks at the police. So, was that a partial truth where in reality there was an organization, some sort of group involved in disseminating these fireworks in preparation for or thinking about these violent protests coming up? I mean, I'm just spitballing here, and it sounds like complete hokum, but if you watch enough conspiracy theory stuff, you start hearing about like the French resistance to the Nazis. They would put out certain news broadcasts with code words, It may have been just a weird story about Aunt Martha's cookies, but they're giving people within these movements instructions.
Yep.
Is this what was going on there? Because if you think back, around that same time, these protests that were originally starting, they were finding pallets of bricks put along these streets that were absolutely no reason for being there. Where did they come from? That story just poof went away as well. So I'm just thinking that, oh my God, what if? What if, there's the Antifa people, whoever pulling their strings, I don't know, George Soros or any of his minions, or people in the swamp, or, some sort of rogue government, the Russians, the Chinese, I don't know.
Most of our internal problems for rogue government comes from our CIA.
But they're not allowed to operate in the States. But it's the rules.
You remember rules are meant to be broken?
And remember, it's only a law if you get caught.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's if you pay attention to history, the process is always the same. It's just the names of the players are different. Okay? And it just keeps going around and around. Just like the Antifas are going around calling themselves anti-fascist, but yet their book of operation comes directly out of Mein Kampf from Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You Nazi little bastards. You heard me call you that, you little Antifa bastards out there. If there's anybody in this area, come and say hello. I want to say hello to you.
I was monkeying around on Instagram here last week at work, and there was a video. It must have been some sort of pro-Trump type patriot rally, because a bunch of guys in the tactical vests and the Trump flags and American flags. And there was this little blonde Antifa idiot running for his life, and this big lumbering goon coming after him. Well, apparently, the little blonde Antifa idiot decided to take a swing at the big lumbering goon and thought he could get away from him. Well, the guy's reach was he ended up, he caught him in a full swing, caught him by the shoulder and just knocked him down. Immediately put his knee right in the guy's chest and just open hand smack in his face. I guarantee I guarantee he was saying, "Do it again, bitch."
Now, this is a side note. On the way up here, I had a car fly past me with the Oregon license plate.
Huh.
The guy driving the car looked like he could have belonged to Antifa. I mean, his beard was shaped, in his hair, that could be Antifa member going back to Oregon.
He's probably fleeing Oregon because of
No, he was going northbound 79. I don't think he was fleeing.
Or he's out here recruiting and doing bad, nefarious activities.
Hey, before we get too far away from the topic of guns, a couple things. Gun sales are up 95% this year compared to 2019. And back in June FBI background check hit an all-time high of $3.9 million. Million people, excuse me. These increases in gun sales, plus people buying up ammunition, have raised concerns in some organizations, politicians, that there could be an armed insurgency in the United States. And their belief is an armed insurgency could result due to current and potential riots on the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Now, I've already heard, actually for a while too, that Antifa and BLM are going to do one of two things come November the 4th. Either riot because Biden loses, or celebrate if Biden wins. Now, their way of celebrating is just like what they're doing now, but they're going to go around and
burn everything.
Find Trump people. Well, anyway, either way, they're going to find Trump signs, burn them, take them down, and probably tried to hurt or kill Trump supporters. So that's not this something to be aware of. Now, the other thing I had on guns, I lost my page here. Oh, here it goes. Anybody who's tried to buy ammunition for the last few months knows that there's a nationwide ammunition shortage.
Almost every caliber.
Just about. Now, according to the article, the nationwide ammo shortage is due to Americans stock up to react to civil unrest by buying firearms and ammunition. Nationwide, popular firearms such as AR-15s and AK-47s, along with many different calibers of ammunition, are in high demand and short in supply. Manufacturers are trying to keep up, and prices for firearms and ammunition are way up over last year. And this kind of ties to what I mentioned last time. Since the start of 2020, there have been nearly 5 million new gun owners registered in the United States this year.
There's only about 3 million units of firearms sold a year inside the United States. 3 million a year. But here we are, two-thirds of the way through, and we got 5 million or more.
I had a terribly great idea.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. This is something for somebody who knows how to operate and maintain firearms, such as a former gunsmith. I don't know who that would be, but here's what we're going to do. Here's what we need to produce a line of firearm videos aimed at the Antifa person, because most of them they don't know much about firearms. And I think one of them should be how to use a different caliber bullet in a smaller caliber gun, whereas you can use a hammer to pound the bullet in.
Well, they don't even have to go that. We don't have to go that hard. We can do like the ATF agent testified in court. You take a 50 caliber round, stick it in your hand, and hit the primer with your hand with a hammer, and it'll go off. So your hand, but he didn't say that.
I'm just saying, that's a second one we can do.
Some of the stuff I've been reading.
And they need to learn how not to put the magazine right in their gun.
The Antifa and Vietnam people, a lot of them are not as dumb as we think they are, and probably more qualified weapons than most of them. Because some of them have been gun owners for years, and why they're on that side, I don't know, other than probably get the Democrat. Even some veterans, for some stupid reason, are against Trump, but they joined I would say the opposition, the communists. But I almost forget this one. Now, Governor Wolf here of Pennsylvania has not said anything about gun stores. Other states have closed them, and those states that have closed them have all been Democrats. Governors.
They tried that here in Pennsylvania, but some state Supreme Court opened it back.
Well, our state legislators are trying to get a bill passed so that Commissar Wolf cannot close gun stores, even during a declaration of emergency. I hope that passes.
This came from Emmy. The other side is saying that the Patriots don't have the balls to start fighting Antifa cartoon on how to shoot rifles.
I beg your pardon.
Did you know that? Did you know you didn't?
Say that again.
Read that again. The Antifa is saying that the Patriots don't have the balls to start fighting. No, we're not going to start the fighting. We're going to let you start the fighting, but we're going to finish it.
Okay.
Okay? So if any of you Antifa followers out there in Meadville that may be listening don't think so, come and see me. I'm tired of these bastards out there destroying my country because you think it's such a socialite idea. You have no idea. Well, maybe you do have an idea what the hell you're doing.
There's a meme going around Facebook and other internet video sharing sites something along the lines of where the person's commenting that Antifa's claiming that they're going to bring their fight to the country, and the response is, "You do realize these country folks will sit in a tree for 10 hours in 25-degree weather just to kill something."
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that.
Been there,
So,
done that, yeah.
If you think that's a good idea, by all means.
Yeah, just go right ahead. At one time, when the Soviet Union was still in power, they had gone and broke down the world into armament, small arms, and they rated Pennsylvania as the fourth most heavily armed country, or with firearms in the hands of the private citizen in the world. Fourth. Okay, now that's 11 million people that lived in, it might be 13 now, but anyway, that was years ago. And I don't imagine that number has changed. And at one time we were putting out over 1 million hunters out the first day of deer season. So you try marching through the woods of Pennsylvania if they all decide to go. And like I said, didn't care what the weather was. 17 below, 20 below. What's that?
The Pennsylvania population.
Oh, 12.7 million now? That hasn't grown much.
As of 2020.
Well, people are leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, so's California. They're burning everything down behind them.
People are leaving because of the taxes and all their stupidity. Unfortunately, I think the good people are leaving. I understand Pittsburgh is losing population. In fact, it's at least Pennsylvania's leading city is losing population.
I heard that Erie was losing and Pittsburgh was losing. Philadelphia was losing. That's all right. Let them lose all the population. Then put control of the state back to people.
The problem is that those guys vote Democrat. They're going to vote Democrat out. We don't need that.
Yeah, well, hopefully when they're leaving the state.
Go to Delaware.
Yeah, go to Delaware where they appreciate your business.
New Jersey.
Yeah. Maryland. Delaware, Maryland.
Fact,
New Jersey. New York.
Speaking of New Jersey, according to New Jersey Democratic Governor Murphy, polling sites will be open on November the 3rd. It's just that you won't be allowed to vote there. Unless, of course, you qualify for American with Disabilities, under the American with Disabilities Act. Those people are allowed to come and vote, but any able-bodied person is expected to vote by mail. That makes no sense. If you're ADA, you think, oh, they vote by mail. Okay. And able-bodied people will go to the voting booth. New Jersey, the governor wants it the other way around. Make it tougher for people to vote.
Well,
in some ways.
Over in Europe,
They don't do mail-in voting.
They don't mail in. They get the day off too, don't they?
It's usually on a Sunday.
Yeah. So they have a day off in which they carry out their patriotic duty and go to the polls and vote.
And we could easily make the first Tuesday in November the first Tuesday followed by the first Monday in November, a voting holiday. That you can come to vote, you can take off, you don't get docked any time for voting. And make sure people come out and vote. But Europeans learned the hard way not to vote by mail because voting by mail leads to voter fraud.
Oh, don't say that F word. You shouldn't say that F word. Fraud?
Voter fraud.
We have no fraud in this country. Have you ever seen any fraud? No, it's everywhere. Don't have to look for it.
Waste, corruption, abuse all over the state government, federal government.
We have a story about Trump saying that the patriots need to go to the polls. Do not mail in your ballots. Go to the
I
polls.
plan to go on November 3rd and say, here I am, give me my ballot.
Okay, Jack has asked me a question. Let me get my glasses off so I can read. Daryl, I have a question. Is Allegheny National Park open for camping? We are still going to do out trip in October. Okay. I'm not sure if Allegheny National Park.
Well, I understand parks in PA are open,
Okay, then there.
but you have to abide by COVID-19 rules.
Yeah.
Keep your distance, social distance, and if you're in groups, wear masks. Now there was a thing on Facebook that showed up about that, and there were two people on a trail in the middle of nowhere, 6 foot apart, and both of them were masks. Don't think so for me, but whatever.
Okay, okay, Jack. Here's what I'm. If you want to come over to go for a weekend camp out, I know a spot where you can go and camp, and you don't have to do anything, and you'll be right next to the Allegheny National Park, in a section where the average John Doe city slicker doesn't go. So we can fulfill all the rules and break all the rules at one time. So if you are so interested, send me your address, and I will draw you a map. As long as you got a good vehicle that can go over dry creek beds in the Grand Canyon and pass through the Great Lakes.
One of those ducks.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack, one thing about it, I think that I haven't checked the exact day, but I think come up here soon this week I'll be out of the FB jail. My 30-day will be up.
Yeah, he says their website is not clear, so yeah.
And I have a lot of memes saved up for the last few weeks, so I'm going to start.
Oh, you'll only be there for, you'll be out for a few minutes.
I'll start sharing them.
You're a repeat offender.
Oh, I got.
You know, if you do it enough times, they will put you in jail for lifetime. Then you have to change your name. The names are changed to protect the innocent.
I can do that.
So
Find somebody, hey, can you be this person for this picture?
oh shoot. trying to think where I want to go next.
Yeah.
Well, there's the those 2 LA sheriff's deputies that were
Oh yeah, I just saw
ambushed.
that this afternoon.
I just saw an update on Breitbart News that I guess they're out. Both the deputies are out of surgery and they're expected to survive.
Do you have any idea who did it?
I didn't read the full article, but I guess they're still looking.
On video, there is a person who looks to be black. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a grainy video.
Yeah, grainy video.
Yeah, just for no reason, walk up, shot them both right in the head and face.
Well, I will tell you this. There is a black actor, can't think of his name, that has come right out and said, and he is condemning the Black Lives Matter movement. It is no longer a movement, as it is a terrorist organization. They have lost their purpose. Okay? This comes from a black actor. I can't remember his name. And I wish I'd have printed that out, but I had so many other things going on. But I do want to put a footnote. I just spent 2 hours this afternoon on the computer looking for loading components. Okay. And I have found a few components, but they're about 30% higher than they were last year. I did find a site that has some 223 ammo, 5.56, but it is about double what it was last year. So I'm not going to put it out, the name of the place, because it was so high. I have another place that said you can back order it. They won't guarantee the price, but they back order it. But you have to search long and hard. But when somebody starts to gouge stuff like that, I won't give them any business if I can help it. So, and anyhow.
You know what happens on September 21st of this month?
September 21st.
Yes. What happens?
The summer ends.
No, our gracious tyrant governor will allow restaurants open to 50% of capacity.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! How dare he do such a thing with the pandemic?
However, it may be
that?
too little too late because tied in with that article I read was a survey was conducted that said because of Wolf's severe restrictions, up to 60% of restaurants in Pennsylvania may close by the end of this year.
Yep, can't afford it.
Now, one just closed by me a few weeks ago at the end of August.
Yep, can't afford to stay in business.
And
you can't cook and sell your food. You can't stay in business. You know? Can't pay your bills. What I want to know is what the hell they're going to do for the property owners who lose their business and their property taxes.
property taxes are going up.
I ain't paying it.
Or you got wind from one of my. He's not my state rep, unfortunately, but he is her. The property taxes, they're going to try to force them to go up.
If they make them go up, I'm not paying them, and they want to come and try and kick me off my property, then somebody's going to go out in a body bag. Several body bags if I have my way. And I'll be damned if I'm going to pay extortion money for property that I was bought.
Yeah. Now, you want to hear something one of our state senators is trying to get done?
Go ahead, Jack.
PA State Senator Art Haywood, a Democrat who hails from the Philadelphia area,
Go ahead.
has introduced legislation this last week. He's got 3 supporters so far, all Democrats, that would make not wearing a mask during the governor's declaration of emergency, which we have now for COVID-19, a second-degree misdemeanor, punishable by up to 2 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Now he wants to change now in order to do that, he wants to add to the current misdemeanor clause that he's working on here. That according to this guy Hayward, failing to adhere to face covering requirements of a declaration of a disaster emergency is recklessly endangering another person's life, and he's going to add to that, inside that wording, that there will be no exemptions given to anybody due to their age or medical conditions. That means a baby, mind you.
Just smother the baby.
Yeah, it could be.
Yep.
So anyway, so it doesn't matter if you're a baby or someone with severe health issues, breathing issues. If you don't wear a mask, you can be get jail time and a fine. Now, in case of young children, he's going to hold the parents responsible.
Well, back up. I'm not for this legislation.
I'm not either.
Here. Okay. But he does have one point. It's a valid point. If your child misbehaves, you, the parent, are responsible because you are his legal guardian.
Yeah, but this thing.
And I'm not referring to just.
Well, I know that.
I'm talking about. You have but if you have a child that is constantly getting into trouble, and you've gone to the authorities because no matter what you do, because they have tied your hand. I know what would happen to me if I do some of that shit. I wouldn't be able to sit down for a week. Okay? And that's the problem. We cannot, not that I need to use corporal punishment as they call it, but every so often when people don't get the message, that's the only option you have.
Well, I know, but in this case, the child refused to wear a mask. The parents will be held responsible. So I don't. What good is it to put a parent in jail for up to 2 years, or fine him $5,000 for a child?
So then what happens to the child? He goes to a foster home.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Now
the state is not only paying for the parents to be in prison, but they're paying for care in a foster home, and then the other thing that
now the article also stated if this bill would be passed soon, and I know a couple state reps on the House side are definitely against it. But if this would pass in, let's say, by the end of the month, it could go into effect as early as November of this year.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll probably be out in the woods hunting and whatever. I ain't wearing a mask.
I am not wearing.
Well, I've been to prison. I know what it's like, so I don't worry about it none no more.
If I'm out cutting a pasture or working outside, cutting my grass or whatever else, I'm not wearing a mask outside.
Oh, on my own property, I'm not wearing a mask. If somebody wants to come see me and they're that damn afraid, then they wear the mask.
Oh, speaking of afraid people.
Oh.
On Friday, I went to a local Walmart.
You went what?
My local Walmart. Okay?
Yeah.
And as I was walking up, now I see people coming down from Walmart still wearing the masks. But people getting out of their cars with their mask on going to Walmart. Looks like you're outside. Okay? And I walked up, had a mask in my hand in my pocket. And I said, I could put this on, get inside like I did last time, and take it off and go work now. But I noticed 2 employees up by the entrance, one wearing a mask, one had his mask pulled down to his neck.
He's still wearing it.
Which is true. He's right. You're still wearing it, yeah. But I noticed some people going by and going in that were not wearing masks. I said, I'm putting that in my pocket and staying there. Walked right in. No one said word one. Now, I did get some looks from people like, why aren't you wearing a mask?
None of your business. You're
I was
wearing
like,
a mask.
they asked me that question. I said, it's none of your business.
You're wearing a mask, so I don't need to.
That's right. I like that. And you are protecting me from you.
Yeah.
I get over that.
Going back to the legislative discussion, whenever I hear stuff like this, where it will make wholesale, like large swaths of the population, criminals that were just not wanting to wear a mask.
The state needs money.
Well, aside from that, it reminds me of different HR people in the various companies I've worked for. A couple of them were real power-hungry goons, and what they like to do is get everybody at least 1 or 2 write-ups. So they're right there on the edge. Everyone's afraid.
Justifying their job.
They want everybody afraid of getting in trouble because you need your job. And that's what I see when I hear these crazy tyrannical, everyone's got to wear a mask, even if they're a baby. If you don't wear a mask, you're going to jail.
We're going to put the baby in jail?
I
is trying to keep everybody cowering.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope parents would keep their children at home.
When I got arrested, Mike used to say, "You're only as free as you're willing to. You're only as free as you're willing to fight for." Okay? And I'm a free spirit. I'm not afraid to fight. I've gone to jail for fighting for my rights, and if need be, I'd go again. But I think I'd take a few with me because when I go, it'll be for something more than a violation of a new law for not wearing my face mask.
Well, hopefully, saner heads will prevail.
Doubt it.
Well, it has to. If it introduced in the Senate and passes, that's go to the House. And I just hope, and the Republicans will actually control both. But I hope they would vote not to unity. No.
I'm looking. I just saw in the paper. Not to change the subject, but I am taking a right turn here. I just saw in the Meadville Tribune a list of properties that are now going up for sheriff's sale for back taxes.
Is yours on there?
No, mine's not on there yet. But it probably will be in about 2 to 3 years because I don't have the money to pay, and the older I get, the less abilities I have, the more I slow down. So I'm doing the gun shows. But yet they're trying to keep me from being able to do the gun shows because of the coronavirus, which means I can't make the money to pay my property tax with. Well, I'm going to start sending you the bill for repairs. Send it to the school district, to the county, and to the township. Look, this is what I spent to repair my house this last year. You three, send a copy of this. You three need to get together and negotiate a settlement and that. Or the other thing is to take a public ad out and declare myself an independent entity, not subject to school board regulations, to the county regulations or laws, or the township regulations or laws. Therefore, I'm not subservient to the master. And not only you do that with writing it and put it in a letter and send it to them, but then you put it in the paper. Publish it in the paper. Of course, you'll get a lot of crackpots out there.
The free state of civic.
Yeah, free state of civic.
No flag.
Yeah. It'll be a 50-star flag. Or no, it'll be 49-star flag. Because I'll remove Pennsylvania from it. Actually, it'll be red, white, and blue, with a blue field where the star is going to be just one star. And that'll be for me. That will be my banner.
Hey, do you know what vitamin deficiency will raise the chance you get COVID-19 by 77%?
What was it again?
Do you know what vitamin deficiency?
Yes, I do. I just saw that same article. Well, about 4 different doctors.
Yes.
77% are taking vitamin D.
You take vitamin D. I'm sorry, if you don't take vitamin D in at least the prescribed amount, your chance of getting COVID-19 infection is increased by 77%.
I take 3,000 units a day.
Not quite that high, but yeah.
And then I take double dose of vitamin C.
You know, it just seems kind of peculiar now that you mentioned vitamin D as being something that helps your body. What were they insisting everyone do at the beginning of this? Shelter in place, stay inside. And where do you get a lot of natural vitamin D?
Outside.
Being out in the sun.
Mm-hmm. I was just talking to on the phone to my friend John, who helps me put on the gun show, and we were talking about the vitamin D. I told him I was taking the vitamin D, and he says, yeah, he says, there was a story that he just read about a man who was in an automobile accident. He messed up pretty bad. It was down south. They gave him 50,000 units of vitamin D while they were working on him in the emergency room. Okay? And it increased his survivability and ability to repair itself, and he got out of the hospital about 2 days shorter than he would have gone if he hadn't gotten it. And if the first dose don't work, they do it a second time in 24 hours. So there's a lot to be said about vitamin D. And it's the lack of vitamin D that causes you to get skin cancer when you're outside. It's not the other way around. It's the lack of vitamin D that you get from the sun if you don't go outside enough. Or have your vitamin D build up inside your system. That's what allows you to get skin cancer.
You reminded me of a horrible, horrible situation that I was involved in back in 2015. I had heart surgery. I was in the hospital for a week. As part of, I don't know if it was because of my weight or whatever, the doctor had me on an insulin drip. They tested my blood sugar every hour around the clock. Didn't matter if I was asleep or not. Oh, it was horrible. My fingers, I mean, I think it's 5 years later, and they're just now starting to feel a little better. Damned awful doctor. And then he come in on like day 3. He's like, I'm gonna cut your break there, big guy. I'm gonna knock down the blood sugar chips. I'm like, what, twice a day? He's like, oh no, every 2 hours. What the hell?
Yeah, I know. That's the same thing when I had my open heart surgery. And,
Hey, I know what you can do. You need money, right?
yeah, I need money. I need money. All I can get.
I know where you can get paid $12 an hour.
Yeah, doing what?
Okay.
Don't say it's polishing somebody's balls.
No, this was posted on Facebook, and I've checked it out. There was an ad for a Biden rally on September 30th in Cincinnati, Ohio. They're wanting actors for 3 different locations for and they will pay you $12 an hour. Okay, of course, driving here back may take that, but anyway, and you must be able to hold Biden-Harris signs and cheer them. Okay, cheer when they okay. And if you wear an anti-Trump shirt, you'll get paid an extra $2 an hour.
Well, if I was some kind of a mental idiot, I'd probably go do that.
Well, you know,
but I can't lower myself. I need money, but I can't lower myself to support
well, you know, it's pretty bad when 5,000-10,000 people show up for a Trump rally. They're not paid.
Yeah.
But
But the people makes you wonder about the Biden rally.
well,
They're
yeah,
showing up
there was something. He was at a press conference, and he flubbed up the answer to the question. Now, when I understand, there was a teleprompter in front of him with all the questions already recorded, and on there his response, and he still flubbed it up. That's all. And there was a camera shot taken at the same press conference. Guess how many people were there?
7, 8,
6.
6.
And they were all media people.
I overestimated them.
And they were circles, white circles, with chair, and they were all at least 6 feet apart where they were sit.
And yet he's supposedly winning in the polls.
I just don't see it.
Well, we use our answer machine to screen our calls. So if somebody calls, it had to be there, I don't recognize the name or the number, or it just shows up as a 717 call, like from Annville, PA, or somewhere in Pennsylvania. I'm not answering the call.
I don't
If they don't leave a message, I'm definitely not calling back.
If I recognize the number, I don't answer it until I hear the voice of the person that's making the call. Because I've had calls come in from that number.
That's spoofed. Yeah. Well,
Okay, that somebody is sticking with, the telemarketers or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, they spoofed them. And well, I mean, I got a call last year. It showed up as a guy's name I knew when working with the state. Okay. And I thought it was funny that he was calling me. So I picked it up. Well, it wasn't him at all. So I called the number back, and actually the person answered the phone was this guy's mother. I said, excuse me, I identified who it was. I said, and how I know your son. I said, did you just call this number? He said, no. I said, I got a call from your number with your family name on there to me at my home phone number. But she told me, no, it wasn't me. I said, okay. And I had this guy's number, and I found out he was on vacation. He wasn't back on some date. So the day after he comes back, I gave him a call. I told him what would happen. I said, in case your mother mentions this, he couldn't believe it. He said, yeah, so somebody has spoofed his father's phone number.
Mhm.
He got deceased.
Here's
That call.
Here's a message from what planet would you trust Creepy Joe with nuclear codes?
Planet?
Yeah. There's only one that I can think of that I would trust the Creepy Joe to have the nuclear codes, and that's the sun. Let him go to the sun, that creepy son.
Speaking of nuclear codes, there was a comedian or somebody, a commentator, brought this up about Nancy Pelosi, how she was trying to defend herself that she was tricked into getting her hair done at that salon. And the guy pointed out, or maybe it was a girl, I don't know, whoever pointed it out was like, she's third in line to use the nuclear codes, the launch codes. And she was tricked by a hair salon. Let that sink in. Yeah, just
Now, I understand the owner of the salon has gotten a lot of bad phone calls, nasty phone calls.
she wasn't even the one who did the hair. It was
I know.
one of her subcontracted
Yeah.
gals.
And Governor, I think, Norm, South Dakota, says, hey, if you don't like California, come to South Dakota.
Just leave your idiotic policies behind.
Yes,
Well,
leave your
yeah.
shit behind. Don't bring it. That's the problem with these illegals that are coming here. They're coming here to escape the garbage in their country. But once they get here, they bring the same squalor with them. Did you get that?
And while we're on the topic of Biden and COVID-19,
Go ahead.
in case you hadn't heard, Biden inflates military COVID death tally to 873 times higher than reality during his speech. From Jack Davis, Western Journal, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden was wrong, and not just by a little, during Wednesday campaign stop in Michigan, where he tried to claim that COVID-19 was devastating America's military, according to CNN. Biden has said there have been 6,114 military COVID deaths and 118,984 service members infected with the coronavirus. Quote, this is wrong and not just by a little, quote, CNN reported a fact check of the claim. The true number of military deaths from COVID-19 was 7 as of Wednesday, according to what was put on the Department of Defense said on its website. That means Biden's estimate was 873 times the actual fact. And there are people, the number of service members actually infected with COVID-19 stands at 40,026, which is almost 79,000 cases lower than what Biden had reported. And of course, Biden's comment raised quite a few eyebrows on Twitter. They were wondering whose wild claims he got confused with. And here's a quote from from Twitter. This is just sad. Not only does Joe Biden get the number of military COVID deaths drastically wrong, a factor of 1,000, but he also struggles to read basic numbers. And the search for his notes is too jarring to be funny. Joe ain't all there. Now we know that. And let's see here. The Biden campaign later said that the former vice president used numbers of coronavirus cases and deaths in Michigan rather than those of the military.
That's where he got it mixed up. Michigan military?
Begin with M. Both of them begin with M. Yeah, there you go. M-I. Yeah, okay. That's easy. I do that all the time myself. Vice President Biden has utmost respect for the men and women of the armed services. Bullcrap. Why did you tell people it was SEAL Team 19 that took care of Bin Laden? And they all died, thanks to your stupidity. Anyway, and he believed it's sacred duty of our country to properly equip them, look out their families when they're deployed, and care for them when they return. The Biden campaign Deputy Rapid Response Director Michael Gwynn to Fox News. To honor their service, the Vice President carries with him each day a card detailing the number of Americans who have given their lives for our country in Iraq and Afghanistan, and frequently cites them to recognize their sacrifice, he said in a statement. But Biden has overstated the impact of COVID-19 before. In June, he claimed that 120 million Americans died from the disease. That's at least 20 million more people that died worldwide from the so-called Spanish flu of 1918 to 1920. As of Thursday, 191,702 Americans died according to the Johns Hopkins Research Center. Now, only I think 9,000 of those are directly COVID-19 deaths, and the rest of people died had COVID-19, but there was something else wrong with them that contributed to their deaths. So, anyway, numbers are cooked. And Trump campaign has often seized upon Biden's flubs. Joe Biden, COVID has taken this. This is his quote. COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak. That's taken more than 100 years. Look here, the lives. It's just when you think about it. Okay, that's a quote from him from August 31st of 2020. Confused man. We don't need confused people in the White House being president. Biden's gas might not be fatal, said one commentator. I think the circumstances of 2020 are well suited to Biden's strengths and weaknesses. Really? According to Stephen Farnsworth, director of the Center for Leadership and Media Studies at the University of Mary Washington, as reported to Sinclair Broadcast Group. Because of COVID-19, Biden is not as visible as many candidates would have been in the past. And that's on purpose. And that means that the limited number of public appearances can be carefully choreographed, minimizing the risk of missteps. Not all his appearances have been carefully choreographed, because he has misstepped or misspoken quite a few times. But when he makes an appearance, it means he doesn't have to get out of his basement. Farnsworth also said here a good number of Americans who have either supported or opposed President Donald Trump, no matter what. The world election in the last 50 years, this may be the one in which the smallest number of minds are changed by what the candidates do. I would hope that anybody with sound mind and body who's not insane is really truly American will fully understand that you can't have lying Biden become president. Dementia Biden, forgetful Biden, whatever you want to call him. Nor have as vice president a woman who is so anti-American, who slept her way up to become DA out in California. Neither one had any business being in or near the White House, making any kind of decision whatsoever. And Harris, if for some chance becomes president due to Biden backing out or whatever happens to him, will be more anti-gun than anybody we've seen before. So, on November 3rd, if you're voting in person or you're going to vote by absentee or by mail, vote red. Remove every Democrat. Thank you.
Okay, we got 2 minutes to go. Scotty's got a headache brewing, so he's going to take off. So Mr. T and I will be here to continue the fisticuffs that's going on. And thanks, Scotty, for being here, and hopefully you'll get rid of it and we'll see him next week. And,
Right time, same that channel.
Perhaps.
Same bat channel, same bat time.
Other way around.
Yep.
You know, you can always bring a beer to drink.
Not on a school night.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting on Sunday nights you don't drink. That's all right. Just because I'm a loose cannon doesn't mean you have to be.
In my younger years as a factory worker working a production line, that would have been fine, but working in the healthcare industry, it's kind of hard to have people have any kind of faith in unions. Come in smelling like a dirty ashtray or...
That place you mentioned not too long ago, they had the was randomly reported in medieval times having so many COVID-19 patients. You know, with an A, don't say it. I know somebody who works there.
Mm-hmm.
She's working on becoming, she's a CNA now. She's going for, what's the LPN?
LPN.
Yeah, LPN. But she has commented a few times on folks working or not being exactly 100%. I won't say why, but
Emmy says goodbye. Hope you get feeling better.
Yeah.
Be safe.
I do.
Well, at that point, kids, we're going to take a couple-minute break. I couldn't get the music set up for some reason or other, so that's why I ended up restarting things, trying to restart it, but it didn't work. So they give me something to play with next week. See you, Scott.
Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Or you say, was it a Wieder bye bye? A Wieder bye bye.
Okay, kiddos, hopefully you can hear us. We're back. Let's see. California caters. Oh, God.
But what?
Governor Newsom signed a bill into law Friday that will give judges greater discretion to decide whether adults who commit sodomy with minors should be placed on California's sex offenders registry.
Oh, yeah.
You see what's happening. Okay? They're trying. First, it's getting the queers and stuff and the gender confused to mingle together in school, going to the same restaurant and that. And then now we want to make it so it's not necessarily a sex offense, sexual offender, or a criminal activity to have sex with a minor. We are going to hell in a handbag in this country, and the problem is most people are too damn blind to see it. So, anyway, something that's been thinking about for several months. And so I finally found it tonight, my Pocket Constitution. Wonderful book. Wonderful book. You can generally get them free from your state legislators or your federal legislators, generally. But then again, with them being so anti-constitutional, they may not have a thing there. But if they don't, look up Paladin Press. You might be able to get a copy from Paladin Press. Okay? All right, here, I'm going to read you Section 8 of Congress. Look at that number sits real well. Okay? Section 8, what do they give them to people that go nuts in the military? It's Section 8.
Discharge, yeah. And your Section 8 housing. Oh,
Yeah.
gee.
It's not a real long thing, so I'm going to read it, and hopefully I don't make any mistakes. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excise, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states, and with the Indian tribes, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States, to coin money, regulate the value thereof and of foreign coins, and to fix the standard of weights and measures, to provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States, to establish post offices and post roads, to promote the progress of science and useful arts. Useful arts! Let's see. By securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to fine and punish pirates and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning capture on land and water, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for longer than a term of 2 years, to provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulations of the land and naval forces, to provide for the calling forth the militia, to execute the laws of the Union, suppression of insurrection, and repel invasion, to provide for the organizing, arming, and discipline of the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress. to exercise executive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such districts, not including the 10 square mile, as may be by secession of particular states, and the acceptance of Congress becomes the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be for erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested in this by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in department or officer thereof. Okay, did you understand that? You know what that means? It means their legislation that they pass pertains to forts, property that they own, forts, military bases, naval yards, munitions dumps, whatever. They also are required to call forth the training of the militia. Okay. They have a set of things that they're supposed to do. Now, people say, well, why don't Trump call out the National Guard or call out the Army or the military to go into these cities where they're writing? Posse comitatus prevents him from doing that. Deployment of troops. But it does not prevent the state governor from calling out the National Guard. But Trump can send police officers or federal police to federal property in protection of the monuments, the post offices, the courthouses, federal parks, what have you. He can send people there. Okay. But he did that in Portland, and the governor and the mayor of Portland told them to get out. So they left. But the thing of it is, he can only deploy. Well, he can call up the militia because it's in there that he has the right to call up the militia.
If things were to held him back, I would not be surprised he'd call out the military, the active duty military, to help with all that.
Well, he can probably. There is one way he could probably do that. Is if he uses the War Powers Act and uses an executive order under the War Powers Act.
See, what Jimmy Carter used when we had that Mariel boat lift in 1980. I was in active duty. And my unit, it was really funny, we attended it, and the officer attended a battalion function. And on the weekend. I go in Monday morning, and there's hardly any vehicles in the parking lot. I mean, there's hardly anybody there. I find out that the battalion had been mobilized, for the most part, and sent to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, to help guard the Cuban refugees that were there. Now, the reason why I didn't get called at home on Saturday night to show up on Sunday, because my wife was due in the not too distant future. So I became a battalion operations officer. I was already in the operations shop, and was told by the battalion commander that he had full faith and confidence in me to get the battalion ready for the IG inspection. And the post IG showed up actually that day and said, okay, I'm going to be here on this date, as you know. I know very well what happened to the battalion. So I'm looking for these particular items, just to give you a heads up. So that's all you have to worry about concentrating on. They went well. But I ended up Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, 3 different separate occasions that year. The Cubans. Now we were the only people down here not armed with weapons. We had billy clubs and gas masks, flak vests. You could not carry any weapons. Park police, state police, local police, sheriffs, anywhere else. Oh yeah, they carried all kinds of weapons. But not us. We couldn't do it. So we had our guard duty at our station, and then we had our days. We weren't pulling guard duty. We had riot control training.
Riot control.
Riot control, yeah.
Riot control. Well,
And I still had my baton.
yeah. Well,
Somehow I made it back with me from Fort Chaffee.
I probably figured unless there was some way that the refugees smuggled weapons in with them.
Oh no, they didn't have to.
And, they
No,
probably
the
did.
locals did that for them.
Yeah.
They even smuggled them out. All for sex, drugs, and money.
Yep. Well, it's the same way with the illegals coming in. The drug dealers will give them a gun if they haul a package or 2 of marijuana. Well, it's more than marijuana now.
I remember having, there was a Clark Police Patrol, male, female, police officers. They were on their patrol. They got surrounded, yanked out of their patrol vehicle, and he was bound and gagged. He took the pistols they had and other stuff, and we were also on alert. Okay, and the other police force there were able to get there in time. Found the female officer naked, tied down, and with guys lining up ready to rape her. I think she did that.
Each one of them.
I got to watch I was down here a gay wedding, if I call it that.
Weddings are all supposed to be gay. Didn't you know that?
Okay. Now, boxing did the Cubans did put in some good boxing tournaments for me to watch. But the first day I was there, that I was the guy I was replacing was showing me around, and this guy comes up with an older guy in his arms, and he's telling me that this guy was beaten up. I mean, he was badly beaten up by other Cubans because they thought he was an informer. And he broke a lot of bones in his body. We took him to the on-base hospital right away. I think he survived. Anyway.
Well, this weekend, and I have yet to watch a football game.
I'm not going to.
I'm not either. I did do one thing. I did tune in for a minute to see how many people were in the fans were in the stands. I think it was the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings. Okay.
Not allowed anybody in.
Some of them are allowed, some of them aren't.
Well, I know that the Steelers, Heinz Field, are not letting anybody in the stands for the first few games. I'm not sure how many that is.
I'm just saying, some are. I know Thursday night there was like 16,000 people in the stands, and when the teams came out arm in arm, they were booed.
Yeah, that's right. I did.
Okay, they were booed. All right, and
the team and the players could understand why they were being booed.
It burns me to no end that you bastards think because your brethren who may have been involved in drugs got restraining orders against them, wanted for other criminal activity, and they refuse or resist arrest and they ain't get injured or killed, then you are being mistreated. Were you mistreated when you were going to college and getting your college degree while playing football? Have you been mistreated while playing football in the big leagues, getting the $1 million a year contracts for playing a kid's game? That's my question. Have you been? Now, I've said this before. When I was growing up, we had a bunch of blacks lived in the area behind our house. There was about 5 or 6 houses up there. And they'd come down on any given Saturday or Sunday, and we'd be playing in our backyard, playing football or baseball or whatever. Okay? No problem. We can call each other names while we were playing, and nobody got offended by it. Okay? And but that was an advantage of being in a small town because we only had one high school. So we were already desegregated. We didn't have to follow on to the desegregation laws that come down since then. But I will tell you this. The person that is responsible for the biggest increase in racial tensions in this country was the previous president, Obama, because everything that people did or said was a hate crime or a sex offender or whatever. Okay, you couldn't tell somebody, well, I don't like you. Oh, that's hate speech. Okay? Under his administration, this country slipped back to maybe even the 40s or 50s when it comes to
I remember the 60s.
Yeah. Okay, I remember the 60s too, but you follow what I'm saying. And,
well, it's amazing because in the early 60s, my dad went down in the South, Georgia and North Carolina for business trips, and we could go with him in the summertime. And we were at a motel, and my brother and I, okay, there are kids playing, and we got, invited to play, and we did this, we did that. And it was mixed whites and blacks. There was really no problem. We were from out of town, but they hey, come on over and play. Okay. But then that was, in the probably 64, the 68 time frame. And then just after that, we kind of hell in a handbag.
yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's. I had a train of thought that I was going to go with, and I know it goes back to the adage that I've been saying. If you don't, in regards to how you feel, how good the educational system is in this country for grade school, okay, your one duty as a child, your number one priority as a parent is to see that your kid goes to school and gets an education, regardless if it's good, bad, or indifferent. The fact he needs to go to get his education instead of standing on the corner selling drugs, prostituting his sister, maybe even his mother. I don't know. Okay, but that's his main goal. But they have found selling drugs is much more lucrative, so they start selling drugs. Because they got money, other undesirables flock to them, and then they get their little gang started. Okay, and then the next thing you have turf wars because, well, you're supposed to stay over 5th and 9th. We got 7, 8, and 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Okay, so when you cross into the other's turf,
oh yeah, and you have the wrong color on or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice or shot.
Okay, but I do not feel sorry for those people because they refuse to take advantage of what was set up that's given to them. Okay. And the taxpayers are footing the bill for you to go to school and get an education. Okay? So, go to school and get an education, And then when you get out, you have the basis for furthering your education or getting a job entry level employment. Or entry level employment.
Yeah.
Okay? And nobody says you have to work for McDonald's for the rest of your life. But you go there and get some working experience and then mind your P's and Q's and learn something, then you'll get a better job. It obviously works because there are thousands of your people that have done that have overcome. Okay? Overcome. And they got good paying jobs. Okay? They didn't let being black hold them back. And because they were able to do their job, now there might have been some racist connotations in there and held back because of race, but as a general rule, you could not afford to have a good employee sitting down here not doing to the best of his ability. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So the problem lies on your shoulder, not us, especially not any of us that didn't have slaves or don't have slaves or never owned slaves in their ancestry. So anyway, I know every so often I gotta say that, but we have a very nice black man working at our church as a janitor. He's got a large family, but he works full time at our church. He works part time at a grocery store stocking shelves, and in his off time he washes cars and cleans windows for people that need the help. Okay, he's an ambitious person. Okay, nice guy. I talk to him all the time. But on the same token, you have some dickhead walking down the street that, let's just leave it at that. Okay, Mr. T, go ahead, fire when ready. You got something there?
Article from the Western Journal. Antifa's pitiful umbrella wall does not last long as Seattle PD cracks down on mob. Seattle police were able to quickly dispense with a wall of umbrellas being manned by protesters on Labor Day. KIRO TV reported a large crowd, about 300 strong, had marched from Seattle's International District, located on the south side of downtown, to the Seattle Police Officers Guild building. Protesters blocked traffic going north and south on 4th Avenue South, which runs in front of the Guild building. Police said they arrested a number of rioters outside the police union building because they refused to disperse after throwing rocks, bottles, and homemade explosives at police. According to citizen journalist Katie Daviscourt, members of the far-left coalition of so-called anti-fascist groups known as Antifa were among the protesters, as were Black Lives Matter activists. Country music apparently coming from the police union building could be heard in the background as police move in to break up the blockade. Let's see. Antifa showed up to attack Seattle police. We started blasting country music and ambushed them. Okay. I'm not sure I quite read right, but anyway. Police arrested told 22 protesters and confiscated a box of Molotov cocktails, according to KOMO TV. Meanwhile, further north in the city, saying that Christians engaged in the protest sorts, the city officials fenced off the Gasworks Park where a Let Us Worship event was to take place. Can't have Christians worshiping, huh? Can we? Seattle Parks Recreation told Fox News that the park was closed beginning the night of September 6th due to anticipated crowding and impact on public health for residents due to COVID-19, I'm sure. Rally organizer Sean Fouch recounted Tuesday morning on Fox and Friends that after the group found the closed-off park, we just pivoted and called it a worship protest. But now technically it's legal, and we went into the streets. It was so wild because yesterday they had on 4th Avenue, Seattle, they had Antifa rioters throwing Molotov cocktails at policemen, and yet the city focused their energy on our peaceful worship and prayer rally at Gasworks Park, the California-based pastor said. Police apparently allowed the protest to proceed and was peaceful, while some officers appeared to be mixing in with the worshippers. And Fauci said that he held a last worship event, or events rather, around the country that last several weeks. And in Sacramento, they had 12,000 people. Okay. And to recap, he says, yeah, we had actually had Antifa protesters and God worshippers holding protests in the same city on the same day. And I think that was. Now if we could just get the former to join the latter, something really positive would happen. After all, Scripture tells us nothing is impossible with God. Amen. Hallelujah. Like speaking of walls and fences, Democrat Governor Whitmore of Michigan is not in favor of having walled-off borders. However, she is in favor of having the governor's mansion walled off. Okay. Costing about $1.1 million. There is going to be an 8-wall, and it's in the process now being built, an 8-wall fence, electrified, mind you. We built on the governor's residence for her protection. Why, you may ask? Does she need protection? Well, it's because she is going to continue the state's lockdown until a vaccine is developed. She's more draconian than our lovely favorite.
Well, don't let him hear about that, because he's just liable to follow suit.
Anyway, our tyrant, Commissar Wolf, who just loves to have this LGBT person as a health secretary. Anyway, so, because, like I said, she fears for her life, because actually she's gotten threats, so, with her draconian measures, so, yep. I don't like walls on the southern border, but by God, I'm going to have one around the governor's mansion, and they'll be electrified, too.
I find that who had the piece of property out there in California that wanted protesters removed from their property. One of the legislators didn't want them demonstrating or camping out on her property, but they could on other people's property.
Yeah. That was.
Was it Feinstein?
One of those.
Or was it Pelosi?
One of those. I hear which one it was.
Well, anyway, just a thought. Here, years ago, there was a guy by the name of Woodard. This is out of the Western Journal. Bob Woodard. If any of you remember who he was, he's the one that wrote a book that broke the story on Watergate, I do believe. But anyway, Bob Woodard knows how to insert himself into the national discussion. The question is whether or not he belongs there. The centerpiece of Woodard's new book, Rage, is a series of interviews with President Trump on the subject of the coronavirus. But there are plenty of other claims to be found in there. Among the other allegations being made, Dr. Anthony Fauci has a rather dim view of the president's intellect. The book claims Fauci, the administrator's point man on COVID-19 policy and director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said Trump's attention level is poor, and the president changes the subject when Fauci disagrees with him, according to the Insider. His attention span is like a minus number, Fauci allegedly said in private. He also allegedly said the president operates on a separate channel from reality, and Trump's sole purpose is to get reelected. Fauci is also supposed to have expressed his dismay with President's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who Fauci was alleged to have appointed would act as a cheerleader for the president as if everything was great. This is all news to us, according to Dr. Fauci. It was also news to him. Appearing Wednesday on Fox News a few hours after the Washington Post released audio in which the president told Bob Woodward that he wanted to always play the pandemic down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a key word here called panic. Fauci said he didn't believe President Trump severely twisted the facts on coronavirus in his message to the American people. I didn't get any sense that he was distorting anything. I mean, in my discussion with him, they were always straightforward about the concerns that we had, said Fauci told Fox News host John Roberts. We related that to him, and when he would go out, I'd hear him discussing the same sort of things. He would often say, "We just got through with the briefing with a group from the task force," and would talk about it. So it may have happened, but I have not seen the kind of distortion. I have not seen that kind of distortion. I don't recall anything that was any gross distortion in things I spoke to him about yet. Also of note, Fauci didn't believe the president was going off script by playing things down. You were there through the whole thing, Roberts said. Was that the playbook, or was that the president just going his own direction? I don't think so, John Fauci said. I don't recall anything different than in our discussion that we had with the president, that he said things quite similar publicly. I didn't really go over any of the text since it just came out, he added, but in my discussions and the discussion of other task force members with the president, we're talking about the reality of what was going on. And then when we would get up in front of the press conference, which were very, very common after our discussion with the president, he really didn't see anything different than what we discussed when we were with him. So she continued, I may not be turned into the right thing that they're talking about, but I didn't see any discrepancies between what he told us and what we told him and what he came out publicly and said. Okay, I don't think I need to read any further than several more paragraphs, but the gist of it is Fauci is debunking everything that Woodward wrote in that book. Okay.
And what the media has been repeating.
Yeah. And I know the media has been trying to drive a wedge between Fauci and President Trump over this coronavirus because of different things supposedly happening or whatever. The lion's sack of shit's what the hell can we say? The press has gotten to be as bad as politicians. When do you know when they're lying? As soon as their mouth opens.
Yep.
You got something else here?
Yeah. Now, just this past week, on 9/11, we celebrated what George Bush proclaimed to be Patriots Day. George was a bit wrong. We have Patriots Day, and it's in April. But beginning on, after 9/11, there were a lot of places that had American flags put up. I mean, all over the place. And I know you were going on Interstate 80 over Ohio, around exit 223, nice number. Route 46 crosses over. you will see the bridge has been decorated, or has been decorated for many years now with American flags. Not too long ago they replaced, I think, most of them. And other places in the kind of country still have the same thing. In New Jersey, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority is in the process of taking down all, I say that again, all American flags that have been installed on bridges or overpasses that go over the New Jersey Turnpike. In a statement, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority explained that they, quote, express patriotism every day by maintaining dozens of American flags in the right-of-way, at their office buildings, at toll plazas, at service centers, maintenance facilities, state police buildings, and Turnpike Authority warehouses. So that, to me, is like a BS statement. Is a poor excuse of why you want to take down
You didn't want to come out and say
American. Yeah, they
didn't want to come out and say it offended certain race of people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. So, the Turnpike Authority is becoming basically un-American again. Now, for those who've never been to New Jersey, just remember this. New Jersey is the only state in the Union where you, the average person, vehicle owner, vehicle driver, cannot pump fuel into your vehicle. It has to be done by an attendant at the gas station. I was last in New Jersey in 2007 and never want to go back there again.
It's been a lot longer than that since I've been to New Jersey.
Well, that's where I processed after my second
I think the last
tour.
time I was in New Jersey, I was 13 years old.
Well,
And I don't miss it a bit.
yeah. Well, 2006 went to Fort Dix to begin training for my second tour and came back in 2007 to mobilization or demobilization. Of course, Fort Dix is where my mom's older brother trained, basic training and whatnot before being assigned to the 187th Combat Regional Combat Training Regiment of Combat Team.
James,
And then going to Korea.
Emmy has a good question. Have they ever found the plane that crashed in 9/11 in Pennsylvania?
No.
It magically incinerated.
In fact, there was an article to that point, as I saw on 9/11, that to this day, they haven't found any bodies from that so-called plane crash, nor have they found any major parts of an airplane from that site of the so-called plane crash.
I just had that sort of like groove in the ground where something hit it.
Yes. And
Probably a
it's
cruise
like
missile.
it's like the Pentagon. People swear, yeah, plane hit it. But, and it's only appeared once, and somebody, fortunately, had made copies of it, and I've seen it now and then. It only appeared once in the news that a helicopter flew overhead, one of the newscopters. And I saw live, it was being done. And you saw various parts, various things of debris laying around. But there was no plane. There's a hole in the building.
It was smaller than the fuselage of the plane.
That indicated that the so-called fuselage was to go into the building, but there are no wings, no engines, no tail assembly, no luggage, no bodies, actually no flying wreckage per se, and there is one little film clip that's come up from a camera that shows something much smaller than a 757.
Cruise missile.
And it's just you see it, then there's an explosion. And that's, I think, the debris that you see, what's left of that little cruise missile. But I had a general officer who worked at the Pentagon, who was our reserve commander at the time. She worked here as a civilian. Who swore the plane hit the building? But I had seen the video.
Did you tell him he shouldn't swear? It sounds like hell.
No, I didn't tell her that because she was like, she was trying to be a mom to everybody, which was her nickname, Mom. And anyway, I guess for her efforts and when she got promoted to Major General and then finally retired as Lieutenant General in the Reserves, or active duty officer, but yeah. Was no plane at the Pentagon. Was no plane in Pennsylvania. And too many people, an airplane flying around with at least one fighter jet and debris falling from the sky long before this so-called plane crashed. And debris landed miles away from the so-called plane crash. Well, gee, the plane crashed at one location. It wouldn't be, be like right there. It's like a trail, you think? Anyway.
It wouldn't necessarily, from the angle in which I saw the groove in the ground, you would have seen a trail of debris from the first part of the impact until it stopped.
If you've seen movie plane crashes, they come in and they know that. That's what kind of looking, not a hole in the ground.
No, it looks like a teardrop.
Yeah, it's like, instead of having a hole in the ground, like a big crater and all this stuff around it, there's this groove with bits and pieces of something. But if the plane came in at a slid, most of it should have been intact.
If there's, I think it was Emmy. So that leaves building number 7. She was reporting, they were talking about stuff here. If you know anything about explosives,
Implosions.
imploding a building takes weeks to prepare. Okay? You just can't go in 45 minutes, plant the charters, and pull the plug. It don't work that way. So that building was meant to come down, and it was already probably supposed to come down when the other buildings did, but it didn't, so they're going to pull the plug on it to make it worse than it was.
Well, if you notice, when the first tower collapsed, I forget which one it was, north or south, and the second one too, for that matter, you would have thought, well, gee, where the planes supposedly hit, would be the point where, okay, that's the weakest, that's where it's been damaged by the impact and by the so-called tremendous fire that burned, they're just like,
Yeah, it should have, because it was like in the
but if you notice, starting at the boom, 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 boom. Have you ever seen, and I have, buildings being imploded, or, they see a video of buildings being imploded, or all smoke towers being imploded, it starts at the top, a lot of places, and it just works its way down. You see little flashes and smoke, or in a parking garage, right now, or a building, you see these little things of smoke and flashes. It usually starts very key locations.
Once a couple of the floors start to peel over the side, that hides a lot of what you're talking about. But if you're watching real close at the first beginning of it, gee, all these little puffs.
Where I was working at the time, we had that on, and I could see when they talk about. My first thought, wait a minute, those are explosives. It's the first thing that crossed my mind. The building was collapsing because it was being imploded.
What gets me is several years before that, 14 or 15 years before that, the FBI in conjunction with a Muslim terrorist group, I believe it is.
Oh, try to blow up from the
They tried
bottom.
to
Base
blow it
right
up.
up.
They took it down in the parking space. They put the bombs down in the parking space and they set it off. Now, where they set it off was the key supports in the center. Okay, if that was supposedly going to collapse, you would have thought that did it, but that didn't do it. But when you have a plane that hit the exterior, then the building starts to collapse. And like you said, instead of coming down, the top part coming down because it got weakened here and tipping, it just sort of goes.
Why are the experts? Well, they were designed to come down that way.
Yeah.
Okay. They were designed to come down that way, but that. How would that start by itself? Exactly.
Especially when, what did they say, the steel support on the outside was heated to over 1,800 degrees.
A lot higher with jet fuel burns, supposedly.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot higher than what jet fuel burns. Okay.
We may never know.
No, we
truth.
probably will never know, but maybe someday in the near future, God will tell us when we get there. He knows.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hey,
By the way,
I got a question for you. Well, we've got
about 6 minutes.
yeah, about 6 minutes. So,
I think I covered everything in here that I had written down.
well, I covered some of the stuff I had here, and then we'll just shoot the shit for the last 5 minutes or so. Somebody was playing with Mike.
Getting back when I said about PA Senator Art Haywood using legislation about making
Oh yeah.
making mask wearing mandatory. If you don't wear one during a declaration of emergency with the governor, $5,000 fine, up 2 years in jail. I would say, folks, contact your state representatives now, your state senators now, and tell them to vote no. Tell them now to vote no. This has got to die before it even gets anywhere.
I gotta go down. I'm gonna go down either tomorrow or Tuesday down to my state representative's office. And I'm gonna tell them that they need to vote no for that, but also I'm gonna tell them that they need to start looking into doing something for the property tax, about the property tax for people that have lost their income, or businesses are going out, or us senior citizens who don't have the money. My stimulus check went to pay my property tax. Okay.
Oh, you might get another one. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they're saying there will be one. It's just, I looked at the fact that there will be, because the Democrats are going to try and push something through
For election time, man.
for election time to try and buy the election.
Say
See what
Biden
we
was-
did for you. See
Biden
what
was
Biden did for you. See what we did for you. Yay!
I just
Go suck a popsicle. somewhere.
comment section just scroll through. I'll jump up. I don't know.
Yeah, a mixture of tragedy and comedy of errors.
What about the show?
Well, I don't see any. We got 7 viewers and we got 5 thumbs up. That means 5 of the 7 liked our thing, or else we have 5 new listeners, but they didn't subscribe. Don't forget, if you're a new listener, subscribe to the thing, and all you kids out there that do subscribe, push to get more people to subscribe. Because basically we can use it, and it is 4 minutes, 3 minutes before we shut down. So is any question out there you kids can throw at us real quick that we can fudge the story on? We'll play politicians and lie to you.
Now, why are you thinking of questions? Try to buy more ammo.
Yeah. Yeah, buy, all kidding aside, if you can find a box of ammo, buy it. I don't care what caliber it is. If you got a gun that shoots it, buy it. because it is that hard to get. You're probably going to pay extra for it. But if you go to the gun shows, you will probably find a little old part-time dealer like me who sells magazines and knives and other things as such, who might have some of that stuff. Just because it's gone from the shelves of the big stores, don't forget the little dealers at the gun shows. Remember, go to the gun shows if you got them, whether it's in this area here or your area. Go and see what you can find. You'd be surprised what you might find. So,
It's not red.
this is Carol. Damn it. Call it what it is, rent, not taxes. No, it's not even taxes, it's not even rent, it's extortion. And, if you don't pay us X numbers of dollars, we're going to take your house away from you. So,
I shouldn't have paid because I never had any kids go through the township school system. You're all homeschooled.
yeah.
And I don't have any kids left to go to school.
So, well, at that point, kids, we got 2 minutes.
The 2-minute warning. Ah. Any questions?
Yeah, you're right. 30-30 ammo. Ammo Man had some for, says here, $35 a box. Okay, now I was pricing it. Of course, these are prices, but they were out, so the prices don't matter right now. They were, if they ever get it back in stock, it was dealer's cost. It was around $20 to $22 depending on manufacturers, which means it would probably sell for $25 to $30 a box, depending on the manufacturer. And I was fortunate enough to have bought a bunch of brass at a gun show. I just loaded that up. I loaded, I think, total of 10 boxes, I think, 30-30. And I'm charging $17 a box for those, and I provided the cases. So, anyway, that's what you're looking at. If you know somebody that can reload, buy the bullets and save your brass. Even if the crisis should clear up and we don't go to war,
That would be American.
save your brass so you can reload it and cut your costs. All right, kids, that's it. 8 o'clock. That's it, Fort Pitt. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And maybe the same 2 bat people. Oh, I'm sorry, that's batty people.
No, I don't need Halloween costumes. Have a good weekend. What's left of it. Have a good work.